Hi, Michelle. How are you? It's good. It's good to see you. There's a couple things that we're watching here in terms of GDP data. There's a slew of data. In fact, let me just walk you through it. We've got GDP figures. We've got retail sales. We've got fixed asset investments. But I want to focus in on just a couple of the details here in terms of the importance of the numbers. Let's start with GDP figures. Obviously, a very important one as it gives general guidance as to what happened in the past and what the comments and analysis might be in terms of the future for China's economic growth. Now, over the past couple of quarters, we've got a graph that we can put up here. The first quarter growth was at 8.1. Then we had 7.8. The expectation for the third quarter, which is now, that we're waiting for in the next 15 minutes, is 7.4%. Why is this significant? Well, because a lot of economists and a lot of organizations, including the World Bank and the IMF, have downgraded the forecasts for the Chinese economy. Part of it's because of China, but also a large part of it is the external factors that are happening around the world, whether it's the U.S. recovery or the slowdown in Europe. Premier Wen Jiabao did make some comments over the past 12 hours. We have another graph of some of the comments he made. He said to Xinhua news agency in China that things are relatively good. He also goes on to talk about that they avoided a large-scale stimulus package to promote growth, as many of the enterprises have been pushed to adjust their businesses to react to the current risks that are out there. Now, the second half of this report, I want to talk about retail sales because that's the other big key number. As you walk down the streets in Hong Kong and you talk to economists and you talk to bankers, there's a real acknowledgement of the importance of the Chinese consumer. Retail sales for the quarter are expected to grow 13.2%. This is a very important number because as China sees external demand slackening, they're trying to increase domestic consumption, which is a huge issue for China, as though you have a big growing middle class, you have more spending power. So keep an eye on those two numbers, 7.4% and 13.2%, which is the retail sales number. Finally, just to give you how controversial some of these numbers can be, I've got two quotes here from two different banks. Standard Bank's Jeremy Stevens says that the risks are to the downside for these GDP figures. In other words, he thinks they could be worse than expected. However, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, Ting Lu, who's the economist there, says perhaps the market is overly concerned. We'll find out in just under 15 minutes, Michelle.
All right, thanks so much for that update. Phillip Yin in Hong Kong for us.